Greetings, pod fans. The potato is a wonderful vegetable that has given us so many things. As a Lord of the Rings nerd, I know that you can boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. As a fun facts nerd, I can tell you that they contain close to the same vitamin C as oranges.
And as an Irish person, I can tell you I know what happened between the years of 1845 and 1852, and the reasons behind that.
That would have been a great introduction to talking about a game called Brotato, but for some reason every character in this game looks like a fucking egg. Brotato? More like Brog. Brotato is a game where you play as one of these potatoes and aim to survive through 20 waves of blobby enemies and kill a blobby boss at the end. When you start the game, you can only choose the well-rounded character. He's a basic bitch with some benefits and no downsides. Then you get to select a starting weapon, which ranges from stick to some human guns, and even some wacky ones, like the Cacti Club or the Ghost Flint. Ooh. And then you are right into the game. Rather than needing to be accurate or time your attacks like some other non-potato themed games, this one just asks you to move your guy around and he will automatically attack the closest enemy. So pick up your controller in one hand and some potato snack in the other, and you're ready to go. So you move around killing the enemies and trying not to die while picking up the precious green materials until the timer runs out. After each wave, there's a shop where you can purchase things either in the form of items that give you passive modifications or weapons, which under normal circumstances you can hold up to 6 at a time, and if you have 2 of the same weapon, you can combine them to increase their stats. There are 3 types of damage a weapon can do: melee, ranged, and elemental, which upgrade separately, so taking a minigun might sound like a hell of a time late game. But if you've spent the entire run putting everything into melee, you will just be tickling them. And they might like it. The only other basic gameplay things you might need to know is when you pick up the beautiful precious green materials, during a wave it gives you experience. Collecting these and leveling up will increase your max health and then give you options for a stat increase at the end of the wave. And also, trees will spawn every now and then, and cutting these down drops that good green. And either a healing plant or there's a chance it will drop a chest, which gives you a random item after the wave that you can either add to your inventory or salvage into materials to spend at the shop. So that is the basic game. You spawn into this square and have to dodge and strike your way until the end of the timer. Then, make good choices to ensure you don't lower your health too much in an attempt to do the big damage. The real fun, however, starts when you have played a few runs and unlocked some of the other characters. On the character select screen, you can hover over any of these padlocks and it will tell you, do X thing during a run and you'll be able to play as this guy. As of writing this, there are 38 playable characters, but since I started playing a few months ago, there have been a few additions and each character has their own little quirks, which makes them totally different to play. For example, the Ranger, who can't equip melee weapons, the Bull, who can't equip weapons, the Multitasker, who can hold 12 weapons, and the Sick One, that is just taking 1 damage every second. Call an ambulance. But for him, my favorite at the moment is the Lucky One, because playing him is like picking up a coin on the floor and the person about to mug you dies. And then the mugger explodes into more coins, which you can pick up again. I believe it was the philosopher, 50 Cent, who almost kind of said, "Get rich and they dyin'." A big thing I noticed when I started this game is that there is a lot of different stats, and trying to figure out how harvesting, luck, engineering, range, and all of the secondary stats interact with things on your first run is just a waste of time, and you will probably get confused. So check what they mean if it feels important to your character or an item, and test it out as you go. These kinds of games are built around Groundhog Daying, so just do that fill thing, learn a little bit every time, and it'll all make sense in the end. As I've said in the past, a big thing for me in these rogue similar style games is the gameplay loop, because if I don't feel like I want to start another run right after a win or a death, then the game, it isn't really doing its job. And Brotato is great at that. Anytime I lose or get frustrated with how one character works, I take a look around the selection screen and see something like the Bull character, whose whole thing is, don't bully me, I'll explode, and it feels like a totally different game. You might see the exact same items, but something you glossed over because it was pointless in one run could now be the thing that makes you a god. Now, just because I need to search for downsides, or people will call me a simp for the game, here are a couple. If you don't like the idea of every wave of a game being in the exact same grey square, with the only changes being the types and frequency of enemy spawns, you might not have a good time with this. The music is one single track, which is a great song, but if you're playing for quite a while, it can feel like it's been years since any other sound has graced your ears. And finally, I don't see this as a downside, but if you want more to do with your hands than moving the analog stick to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge, this might not be for you. Looking at the game, it comes across kind of like a hack and slash, but in reality, it's more of like a bullet hell dodge and weave style game. Just because this needs to be mentioned, if you watched my Crab Champions review, you might already know my feelings about early access games, but I am very happy to announce that in its current state, this is a super playable game, and if you're a fan of simple mechanics with deceptive complexity, I would say this is well worth €5. And after all of that, I'm going to give Brotato 7.5 eggs ladled potato out of 10. It's a very good game, and I am up to about 40 hours played right now, so I'm super excited to see what more they add by the full release. And I will of course be keeping an eye out for a mod that makes them more potato-like in appearance. Thank you very much for watching. I am having so much fun reviewing these rogue similar style games because it has been my favourite genre for quite a while, and I like to think I have a teeny little bit to say occasionally. So yeah, if there are any like roguelite, roguelike, rogue similar games that you think I should play or I should cover, let me know and I'll take a look into them. But also just let me know what you think of Brotato, because it's a fun little game and I had a good time with it. So yeah, slán.